Several Twitter accounts that talk about XRP are saying that Ripple could buy out Swift for about 3 billion XRP. Is this true? Is it even possible? If so, can Ripple buy Swift? I think I know the truth. XRP could be used to handle 15, 25, or 50% of Swift's business. What might that mean for the price of XRP? That's another thing I wanted to know. Can anyone buy Swift? If so, what steps do they need to take? Guys, I got all of your answers and more in this movie. Let's start with it. Let's figure out what is being said. They might use XRP to try to buy Swift. They would only need about 37 billion XRP. It sounds like the Swift payment system would cost around $10 billion to buy. Does anyone else think that makes sense? Yes, if someone offered $10 billion for Circle, you would think that Circle is not as important as Swift, right? Of course I checked this for accuracy, right? I looked over the paper and asked myself, is this claim true? The idea that Swift could be bought out by Ripple for about $3 billion is very misleading. It has nothing to do with money or the law. Also, I want to say that Crypto Queen or XRP Queen has been asking for this exchange to be banned. That's why I looked into Ban Exchange. It looks like Ban Exchange is a scam. Oh no, this person is also pushing Ban Swap, which means they are a con artist. And Financial Bro, if you were watching all three of these accounts, I would be very worried. Be careful, but let's look into this more. SWIFT, which stands for the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, is not your average business that can be bought out. It's a cooperative with headquarters in Belgium and members all over the world. Thousands of financial institutions run it. It's not like a board of 2 or 3 people would say, hey, let's sell the Ripple for 10 billion. It's likely worth a few $100 billion, but we'll take 10, okay? Because SWIFT is owned by its partner banks and other financial institutions, those banks and institutions hold shares in the company. Its shares are not traded on the stock market, and financial firms are not allowed to own them. Reports and evidence that Ripple or anyone else could buy Swift outright in return for XRP or any other asset are not reliable. The document talks about a possible situation that isn't backed up by industry news or Swift's governance plan. Then I asked, can a business buy Swift's banking system? Acquisition by direct. A private business can't just buy Swift. The cooperative is owned by its members, which are banks and other financial institutions. Shares in the cooperative cannot be bought by the public or taken over by a corporation. There are strict rules about which types of controlled financial institutions can become Swift shareholders, and the regulators keep an eye on them. That's interesting. When I think about this, I wonder if Ripple could work with Swift if they become a bank. Yes, should they be able to? Could they become a shareholder? I'll find out about that for you. Due to legal and regulatory issues, it is not technically impossible for a company to buy all of the member shares. However, this would be closely watched by central banks and financial officials. That means that one company would buy all of these banks that work together on the SWIFT system, right? They said that central banks and financial officials around the world would not like it if one person or group controlled all of these banks and then also controlled SWIFT. Like, how much would it cost to do this? Figures of SWIFT's value. Because of its unique structure, it's hard to say exactly how much it's worth, but the most recent figures put it at around $5 billion in 2023. Weird to think that Swift is only worth $55 billion, huh? Swift handles 150 trillion transactions every year, but that number only shows the flow of transactions and not the value of the company itself. But you'd need to get all the banks, right? I believe that all of the banks would have more than 5 billion. It seems like this would be really hard to look into. Hypothetical buyout. The price would be set by talks between thousands of global financial institutions, even if it were possible. They would all want peace. In return, they would want something. This amount of money seems not enough, does it? Sure, everyone will get $10 million to do this. Banks would enjoy it. Banks would enjoy it. None of this seems even close. Ripple and Swift are really competing with each other, not buying each other out. Ripple and its token, XRP, are seen as alternatives to or additions to SWIFT for making payments across borders. They aim to make transfers faster and cheaper. The CEO of Ripple has talked about getting a piece of SWIFT's transaction volume instead of buying the company. Adoption possibilities, some analysts think. About XRP being used for liquidity in global payments, which could make it more valuable. However, this is not the same as buying SWIFT. Okay, I also have some information about SWIFT usage here. I wanted to know if the amount of business going through SWIFT has been slowing down as more countries switch to the ISO standard and start using digital payments and blockchain technology for trade across borders. Does that change how SWIFT works? General flow of volume. Let's go. 2024, SWIFT continued to handle a lot of funds between countries. As of late 2024, 90% of SWIFT's cross-border payments made through the network hit the receiving bank within an hour. So they have made payments much faster. There were 90% of payments that went to the right place in 1 hour in 2024. This is about the price, right? Sure, you're paying faster, but you're still being charged a lot. The SWIFT network got to the recipient bank in just 1 hour, which was much faster than the G20's speed goal for 2020-2027. The euro and the US dollar were still the most common currencies, making up 70% of all SWIFT payments made around the world. 2025, SWIFT sped up its move to ISO standard. By May 2025, 41.2% of payment directions were using the new format. In other words, 41% of quick payments already use ISO 20022. Because of this, I said that I don't think there will be a big change in the payment when the federal government switches to ISO tomorrow. This is because the data already shows that it is live and being used, and we haven't seen a big jump in that. There's been a lot of talk about it, so let's start with May 2020. Any predictions that aim for 86% by November 2025, the daily average payment more than $1.8 million was sent through SWIFT's FN Plus technology in May 2025, which is 79% more than in May 2024. However, SWIFT's overall share of global cross-border payment flow has not dropped by a large amount. New tools are making it hard for both growth rates to keep up. When it comes to the effects of crypto stablecoins on cross-border payments and institutional usage, 90% of financial institutions were already using stablecoins by the middle of 2025. 90% of banks are constantly working to add stablecoins to their services. 90%, 9 out of 10 banks and credit unions. This is the progress we're about to see. These numbers come from the trillions of dollars that are expected to grow over the next few years. 49% use them to pay for things, and 58% of traditional banks put cross-border stablecoin trades at the top of their list of priorities. Latin America is the region with the most stablecoin users. 71% of businesses there use them for cross-border payments. Rapid growth is also happening in Asia and North America, thanks to clearer rules and better infrastructure. In 2024, stablecoins handled 27.6 trillion transactions, which was more than Visa and MasterCard combined. Coins and tokens are already bigger than credit cards and Visa. That's pretty crazy, right? Real-time payment systems, payment infrastructure, and blockchain-based solutions are making SWIFT less important, especially for B2B and remittance routes with a lot of transactions. Does SWIFT's market share go down where SWIFT stands? SWIFT is still the main way that most business cross-border payments are made, but its growth is slowing down as other options, like stablecoins and real-time payment networks, become more popular. Most of the market shift, rise of stablecoins, and blockchain infrastructure can be seen in developing markets and high-cost corridors, in places where standard mail-order banking isn't as strong. Forecast: SWIFT's share of cross-border payments is likely to slowly go down, especially for deals with low values and in stores. But even though